Hi, welcome to Mindful Monday. I'm Tiffany, and I'm really glad that you could join me this week. Today, I want to talk to you about self-love. Self-love is the regard for one's own well-being and happiness. True self-love means that you're showing up for yourself even when you feel unlovable or even shameful. It involves taking the steps to listen to yourself, identify what causes you to not respect or identify your needs or your boundaries. I want you all to know that you are worthy of love, respect, safety, and belonging, no matter what your thoughts tell you. Our thoughts are simply just that. They are thoughts. Self-love is a verb. It's something that you do. It's deciding to make a commitment to move forward in improving your feelings and showing yourself compassion by knowing and accepting that you are still learning and that you will make mistakes. It is okay to make mistakes because that's how we learn. It's important to refuse to let outside definitions of who you are define you. You are not what other people say you are. It is totally acceptable to define and protect your sense of self. You also want to maintain respect and care for others when establishing your boundaries. Healthy boundaries allow you to engage with the world in an open, curious, and receptive way. There might be some signs that you're not holding healthy boundaries, such as being exhausted even after having a good night's sleep. Negative thought patterns will often dominate your thinking, and you feel like you're the victim and everybody else is to blame. Your sympathetic nervous system is activated, so you frequently experience anxiety and tension, even when you're not in a stressful situation. You might find it hard to connect with your center, to detect your own needs, or even figure out what you want for lunch. You feel other people's emotions very strongly and lose touch with your own. These are just a few signs that we're not holding to our healthy boundaries. By setting boundaries, you are telling others how you want and expect to be treated. I want to share with you some steps for setting boundaries that are healthy. The first thing you want to do is to find some balance. You want to ask yourself, how much am I giving? Because sometimes we give a lot of ourselves to other people. Another question that you want to ask is, am I asking for what I need? Is it clear what you need from the situation or from the relationship? It's important to communicate in a healthy and positive way. When we're setting boundaries, it is not giving us permission to be rude or mean or hateful. Sometimes it's hard for us to establish boundaries because maybe we're not confident enough and our self-confidence might be a little bit low. So I've got a technique that you can try to help build your self-confidence. And I know it sounds kind of funny at first, but I promise you the more that you practice it, the easier it becomes and the more you believe the words that you're hearing. So this is called the mirror technique. In the morning, when you are the most human and humble, sit in front of your mirror and tell yourself, I love you, I want you, you are special to me, you don't have to be afraid, and I'm here for you. Again, I know this sounds really weird, but planting these seeds of love, support, understanding, and resilience within will help you instinctively stand up for yourself in the outer world. It's important to have a regular centering practice. For some of you, it may look like meditation or prayer, maybe mindful movement, or just simply a quiet time. These centering practices will help you to improve your self-awareness and to be able to set more effective boundaries. It's also important that you schedule recovery time on your calendar. A lot of times our lives get really hectic and we need to Take at least one night a week to do nothing or to practice some self-care. It's okay to schedule time for yourself. In scheduling our calendars, we often want to tell people yes. We want to be helpful. We want to be seen as a team player. And so we become people-pleasing by saying yes to everything. Instead of saying yes, try saying maybe. This will give you time to check in with how you feel about the request and check your calendar. Consider the long term of the obligation and ask yourself, will this commitment or person matter in 1 week or 1 month or even a year? This will help you remove the people-pleasing urge to say yes to everything. Only say yes to the things that mean the most to you. Practice saying goodbye with grace. Stop inventing stories. When we really are on some time constraints and we have time boundaries where we have to be somewhere else, oftentimes we will tell people, I really have to go. I've got an assignment that's due and I need to get home or I need to study. Don't invent stories. Simply just say something like, thanks for sharing. It's always great to hear your voice, but I have to go now. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Simple and respectful without any story. People don't need to hear our stories when we're saying goodbye. When you're setting your boundaries, be direct and specific. Speak up in a firm and straightforward way. If somebody crosses your boundaries, tell them in the moment. Tell them right then. If you're uncomfortable with that, it's okay. It takes time to be comfortable with telling people they've crossed our boundaries. Instead, you can journal your thoughts or talk about what happened and gather your thoughts that way. And once you can express your thoughts verbally, do so in a kind manner. It's important to decide what your core values are, the things that matter most to you. For example, I set boundaries around phone time. I don't accept phone calls after a certain time of night to decrease my stress levels and to encourage my self-care of getting enough sleep so that I'm not exhausted. It doesn't have anything to do with being antisocial or trying to avoid people. It's about having a boundary and respecting my need for sleep. It's important that you let go of the outcome after establishing your boundaries. This is the most important, but also the hardest aspect of setting boundaries. You might hurt the other person's feelings, but remember, the boundary is for your well-being, not theirs. The recipient may be offended at first, but oftentimes they'll come back around after having time to process the boundary that you've tried to establish. Remember, you can't change others, so change yourself. I cannot stress enough that we are not responsible for what comes out of other people's mouths, the choices they make, or their reactions. Again, we are not responsible for other people's reactions. We can change how we deal with them. An example could be that you're in a group and they're talking about a subject that makes you uncomfortable. You can simply say, this subject makes me uncomfortable. Can we talk about something different? Or you can even say, I need to excuse myself from this conversation, and you just walk away. You're not being rude, you're not being mean, but you're still sticking to your boundaries and expecting others to stick to your boundaries as well. So when you set your boundaries, it's also important that you decide consequences ahead of time if someone pushes your boundaries. You need to be able to honor your needs, and they need to honor your needs as well. But remember, when setting your boundaries, it does not give you permission to be rude or mean or hateful. It's simply being firm and knowing what your core values are. So I hope that you can practice some self-love through boundaries this week, and I know it will be a little bit hard. It's not always easy, but we are growing and we are learning and we are making mistakes, and it is okay. Still love yourself. You are worth it. You are deserving. Have a great week, and I hope to see you next Monday. Namaste.